wanted to do this gently. There you go. Hi, Psychic Frank's Mystery School, and my lovely co-host, Gabby Hayes, who's up on the rod. Excuse me. Hi, yeah, so today is Friday the 5th of February. Universally, it's a 5 year. 2021, 2 is 4, and 1 is 5. And we add 5 and 2. It's a wisdom. February 2, second month, is a wisdom month. See, the last year was all about Saturn square Pluto. And Pluto's the underworld, the muck of the muck, the mother of mold. Your mother of pearl? Well, it's the other one, mother of pearl. This year, though, it's Saturn squares Uranus, yeah, in Taurus. So this is all about now intelligence. Yeah, liberty, truth, justice, the American way. Actually, here's the Mountain Astrologer for February. And it says, in the same way that the Saturn-Pluto conjunction dominated 2020 astrological landscape, the Saturn-Uranus square that perfects for the first time on February 17th reigns over all of 2021. This waning square of the Saturn-Uranus cyclotic thing there began almost 33 years ago when the two planets aligned on February 12th, 29 Sag. So look back to where 29 Sag was in your chart, and then because it's going to happen, I'll give you the 3 dates if you have a pencil. The 17th, 7 degrees Taurus, Aquarius. And then June 14th, 13 degrees Aquarius, Taurus. And on the 11th on the 24th, Christmas Eve of 2021. Yeah, and my two my two favorite planets, Jupiter and Venus, align on this new moon. We're going to talk more about that. The February 11th new moon. We have Jupiter and Venus conjunct 12 degrees Aquarius. Well, see, I'm wearing around my neck now this, I don't know if you can see it when the light hits it. I believe these actually could be diamonds. It's the infinity symbol, and it's I looks on the back and it says 14 karat gold. Well, around, I don't know, 10, 11 years ago, I was coming out of an elevator, and this was rolled up into a little ball, and I could see it sparkling, and it's a very delicate, thin chain, and it was all knotted up, and this friend of mine was in a hurry, and she said, "Oh, what are you doing?" I said, "Wait a minute." So I fiddled and got it out of there and put it in my pocket, came home, put it on the desk, one of my desks here, and then I got two needles, 2 little straight pins, and I started messing with it. It took around a week. Every time I got frustrated, I let it go, come back to it. It was like a jigsaw. I love a puzzle. Well, this is my most important show because I undid a puzzle. Life's a mystery to be lived, not a problem to be solved. And it was. Some mysteries aren't meant to be solved. We're supposed to live these mysteries, and then others are like masterclass mysteries. See, so first of all, I wanted to mention something here I thought was really interesting. It says, old souls like spending time alone because they know they never really are. They never are. Okay, so the reason old souls enjoy spending time alone is because they never really are. Yeah. Yeah, boy, the memory, God, I haven't been a waiter since the 60s. I used to wait on tables at the bitter end and all over Bleecker Street when I was my late teens, early 20s, going to school, acting school and whatever. And it's funny that I'm 72 now, just how things sink in. And just the other day, I was cleaning my breakfast dishes, and I picked up a cup and saucer to bring it in the kitchen, and I actually was looking for a tip. Isn't that funny? After all these years, and then I started laughing. I said, Frank. My first message was, oh, they didn't leave me a tip. Anyway, okay, enough of the levity, because this is the most important puzzle I've ever solved. And after this, I don't know, I don't have to think about it anymore. Okay, so first of all, this book, Kundalini, in the Physical World, Kundalini in the Physical World by Mary Scott. And it was given to me or lent to me. I don't know. It came in a box of books. This woman was, was dissolving her mother's estate, and anything with Kundalini in it really interests me, because back around 40 years ago, when I was in the mystery school, it was my 4th year, and I was getting ready to leave. And one day I was late for class. And I got there, it was dark, and the class had already started, so I didn't want to interrupt it, but I already paid, for the session, so I stood in the arch, and it was a Kundalini class, and I got a lot out of it, like from what I get, they're like timed. It's not like in my case, 70 years, 4 months, 28 hours, 48 seconds, the Kundalini's going to start moving, That's what happened to me, actually, 2 years ago, come this August 28th. But, then one woman in the middle of the room started screaming, oh, my Kundalini is burning my back, and she started, and then Norma signaled to her assistant, go in the kitchen, get my ice pack. And I put it, and I just rolled my eyes, and I said, oh, I got, this is too much for me. Because I figured Kundalini, and this book straightened me out, I thought was for like yoga masters, people in the Himalayas. It happens to everyday people. I think a lot of people think they're losing their mind when their Kundalini starts to move, because there's a thin line between enlightenment and insanity. But what Kundalini in the physical world really means is, once your Kundalini starts moving, you got divine help. Anywhere you put your energy, you're gonna get through. So it took. I'm gonna do a whole hour show on Kundalini, my experience. But this show is about untying the knot. I stepped into this puzzle, the most intense jigsaw puzzle I've ever been involved in. And it was roughly 11 years ago when I joined up with Bayvac and started doing my shows. Okay, and it was racist what happened. I'm not going to beat this. I hate the metaphor. Beating a dead horse. That's why I'm doing this show. Of course, after this show, I don't have to talk about it anymore. The whole thing is solved. Why Comcast got Bayvac in cahoots with them to pull the plug on tagging SF Commons shows. Because I dedicate all my shows to SF Commons. I'm not at the studio, Bayvac studio anymore. The studio that was built with the President Obama stimulus money. I think it was over $90,000. I love that studio, and I love getting calls from the public, but that's another story. Well, a week after, a month, it was literally 3 weeks to a month after I started my show, I picked up my remote control for Comcast, expecting to see my name on the listings along with all my friends I had made, all these new people. I've always been a fan of SF Commons. And not even was our names not on there. It didn't even say SF Commons. It just went local listings. That was 11 years ago. And I've been trying to untie this knot. Like, why did this happen? How can we fix it? And then I realized that finally, because every morning, corporations, I think it was the biggest mistake. And we're going to find, hopefully they'll rectify it. The Supreme Court ever made was corporations are people. And if corporations are people, man, they got to get their asses in rehab. They're sick. They're sick. Even Teddy Roosevelt said, he didn't say it was a debate. We have to control the evils that are in corporations. So every morning here in San Francisco, I watch, local news, Channel 7. they have the great. I love them because they have a gay guy, young man. He's like the grandson I never had, and he. Thomas, was it Tomasia? I love the whole Channel 7 cavalcade, And I noticed around a year or so ago, after this big coup with Disney, every time they introduced themselves in the morning, and they're always promoting the Disney Productions, the latest Disney thing, Monster Corporation Disney, and our parent Disney is doing this, so they're very proud. Channel 7 is related. They're blood related now. They're all related. Corporations and Channel 7. So corporations have bought up local news. So the other morning, the puzzle, Bayvac puzzle, the SF Commons puzzle, the Comcast, why they pulled their... See, they never wanted... Comcast never wanted SF Commons. It never wanted cable access TV. But Ross McElreamy, the sheriff that they got rid of, when I'm talking about what started when Gavin Newsom was, our now governor, was the mayor of this city, and the war against the people and pro-corporations really took over. And then, of course, we got Ed Lee, who was right out with it. We got to get rid of the homeless. We got, and why the homeless there? Because Gavin Newsom started the whole, evicting people for corporations. But that's another story. So anyway, but bear with me now. It's worth listening to. This is an historic show I'm doing, So. So they never wanted, Comcast never wanted SF Commons cable access TV. But thanks to Ross McElreamy, excuse me, I'm not tearing up your name on purpose. He was the people's supervisor. He became the people's sheriff. And he got it for us. He got the voters of San Francisco overwhelming vote that we want public access TV and we want SF Commons, So so Comcast, never wanted. They were stuck with us, And getting rid of us was on their agenda. So, as I said, they pretty much did in a very subtle way by not tagging our shows. Because you ask anybody today about Bayvac, oh yeah, we know all about Bayvac. How about SF Commons? Flatline. Nobody's ever, because if you're not listed if you're on TV and nobody knows where to find or that you even exist, you're DOA. You're dead on arrival. You see, and unless you're a longtime SF Commons fan, you don't know anything about cable access TV. See, so what happened was the year after Comcast, I don't know why, I couldn't get the connection. Like, what control did Comcast have over Bayvac to get Bayvac's president? In a way, the show is not only for Bill, what's his name? I have it written down here. Bear with me. I was watching TV the other day, and his name came up. That's when I put it all together. See, Bayvac won the award, or whatever it was, the contract to facilitate SF Commons. And they moved from Guerrero Street, where SF Commons was supposedly ripped off for like $90,000. And Jennifer stood there and said, we're going to be transparent. We're going to be upfront with you. Bear with me here. I want to get this guy's name right. It's Phil, Matier. He's like 35 years Channel 7's best reporter. So, I went around 11 years ago, all over City Hall, banging on doors, getting appointments. I spent a good couple of months and every supervisor, anybody that would talk to me who had any kind of power, I would explain to them, Comcast and Bayvac are just not tagging our shows. Well, it was a wild goose chase, but one day, I love old movies, and it's all tied together here. So bear with me. I get so ahead of myself. I'm pacing myself. So after a few months, it was almost like a routine. I always had an appointment to talk to someone else. So this guy, Phil Mateer, there, the reporter, like I watched enough old movies, James Cagney, the reporter, what is it, Cary Grant, where a reporter, especially a city hall reporter, they got connections, they know where, they go around, and hey, Hildy, what's the latest scoop. So, this Phil Mateer, 35 years ago, I only was exposed to him 11 years ago. He got in my face. But, and this is for you, Phil. This is for you. Please, I hope this gets to you. Or the FBI will bring it to you. I hope, if there's a God. So what happened was, and somebody probably said to him, hey, keep your eye out. There's probably going to be some angry producers for, cable access shows, mostly black people. It's racist. I don't know if they said that, hippies, black people, anyway, there's this thing going on between the corp, Comcast wants them out, and just heads up there. Somebody had to tell him, because I'm like walking around, I spot him, and I was like a few feet from him, and I said, "Oh, hi!" I said, "I recognize you. Listen, I'm a producer with Bayvac, with SF Commons. Bayvac and Comcast." And the man took off like he must have been a track star when he was in high school. He literally just, it was like, I don't know, from here to like 5 feet away. But he heard me. I said, "Hey, I'm from SF Commons. I'm Psychic Frank. I have a TV show, and I need to talk to you. What Comcast is doing." He heard Comcast Bayvac, and he took off. I mean, the man on the main floor, one of the floors at City Hall there, he took off like a bat out of hell, like I was going to kill him or something. And I don't know, instinct, like somebody had stole my wallet. I started running after him, and then I caught myself like 2 seconds later. I didn't really chase him. When I think about this, it's almost comical. This will make a good movie. And and then I said, "Frank, stop it, man. The guy's running from you." And then it was 11, all this time goes by, like a good solid decade plus some months go by. So the other morning I'm sitting here drinking a cup of coffee, watching Channel 7, parent of, their parent is Disney, and there's Phil Mateer's face. I don't say the R in France. I don't know how you say his name. Bill Mateer. And there he is being awarded all these grand awards for being a corporate shill, reporting only the stories that, the corporations tell him to report. So I realized, OMG, WTF. This is not only Comcast, not only Bayvac, this is City Hall. This was, because a year later, Gavin Newsom got to be governor, and Ed Lee got to be mayor, to get rid of the poor, get rid of the homeless that we made by evicting them so the corporations could take over the city. He also, made sure the people's sheriff, who was working on prison reform, breaking up private prisons, he was no longer supervisor, Ross McElreamy. He was the best sheriff the city ever had. And somehow he and his wife had a lover's quarrel. They were, Stacy, Cicely Williams. This is Black Pride Month, History Month. Cicely Williams, bless her soul, Cicely Tyson's just passed on the other day, and she was talking about Gayle King asked her about her love affair with her long relationship with Miles Davis, and then she put her head down because she could see she loves him still. And this was like 2 days before Cicely sailed on. And she said, his last words on his deathbed would tell Cicely, "I'm sorry." And then she looked at Gayle King and she said, very matter of fact, you only hurt the people you love, the ones you love. And I was like, oh. So, they're together, Cicely and Miles Davis. God bless them. So I digress there, but how did I get off on that? I wish I could return this and start all over again. But okay, so what's going on? It's this is bigger than me. I'm just this. But as I said, when I saw the whole thing there. Bill Mater, whatever. So they're giving him all these awards. He's got this golden parachute. He's going to still be on their payroll. So we're going to be seeing his face all the time. So Bill, I'm gonna like mano to mano now. I'm gonna give you a free reading, and I know you'll probably see this. It might be a year from now, 2 years from now, hopefully in a week. But man, you're getting a little long in the tooth now, as are we all. Um, by the way, you really are in good shape. I was surprised you're such a good runner. I could see your ass from now, and I stopped. I even started chasing you, I admit. Remember me? It was 11 years ago, I was running around City Hall, and I'm not a menacing presence, I don't know why you ran from me. Only you know that. Only the FBI can beat it out of you. And you'll probably deny it to your grave. Hopefully you won't. Hey, you know what? You, Jennifer, Bayfax Jennifer, Mindy. Oh, yeah, big time Mindy. All of you women, men, women, sellouts to the corporations now, especially the ones who affected me and my friends at Bayfax. When you cross over to the other side, guys, there's checking the list. And, wait a minute here. Bill Matar, yeah. You probably got your chest. Oh, yeah, I'm the best thing that's the sliced bread now. I'm a Brahmin shaman, You messing with a Shiva. A Shiva does the hard stuff for me, Om Shiva. You're in. Remember when Ghost Whoopi Goldberg says she's to Demi Moore, Molly girl, you in danger. Molly girl, you in trouble. You're not in physical trouble, Bill Matar. I'm not threatening you. I don't want anybody to threaten your life or anything, but you know what I'm saying? I hope you have a long life. I hope you reach some point of understanding. I hope you get some awakening in you where you realize, holy shit, what did I fucking do, man? Oh, man. You through SF Commons, you had the power, man. You had the power. You could have stopped, talked to me. If we could turn back time, if I sound like Cher, if I could turn back, Gabby, darling, you're being extra sweet tonight. Actually, yeah, it's Friday. So anyway, I don't have to talk. I don't have to talk about this anymore. And if you're one of the 400 producers that were, I'm not going to say victim, but we were victimized. I mean, when those people told me that I was going to have my own TV show, and then a lot of, I noticed too, right back, I'm getting a flashback, a lot of cable access were, Pakistani, Indian, a lot of different countries, a melting, very global. And, America's names, I mean, that's still their name. That's still their mother for a buck. Shoot first, kill, ask questions later, kill first, ask questions later. But a lot of these people, when their names were taking off of these shows, that was like spitting in your guy's face. Comcast said only corporate, only this matters. Well, here's my lovely assistant, Miss Gabriella, Gabby, aka Gabby Hayes. Okay, so I don't really have to. I'm not. I just hate that term, beating a dead horse. But as I said, that was the missing piece. The minute I saw Bill Matar's face on there, on the TV set, and it finally I relived that. Just like the other day when I was last month when this whole thing started, I have an altar to John Lewis and Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. and Nelson Mandela. I want to put Malcolm X on there, but I haven't found a decent picture of him. But it'll be up there, and I have these slogans written on the wall of, and especially under John Lewis, where it says, "Create good trouble, make good trouble." So 11 years ago, what was wrong can be put right. It's nothing that was written in cement. I remember Mindy looking me in the face around 2 months after nagging them, to, explain what's going on here. She explained to me that Comcast wants $8,000 a month to tag our shows. And then she looked at me like, like that's ridiculous. And she didn't say it, but these are black people, Frank. They're hippies like you. You guys aren't worth this to 8 cents. And, we're doing this just because we have to. We're doing it with our arm twist behind our back. If we had our way, those are 2 channels, 29 and 76. Comcast could be making even more money on. But these people are crying poverty. They could, they sold their soul to the junk man. So I'm not a fool. This involves Comcast, Bayvac, SF Commons against SF Commons. And now, as of the other day, in this Eureka moment, I realized, OMG, City Hall had a big hand in it. So, talks amongst yourself. Get this video I'm making right now. Today's the 5th of Friday, the 5th of February, 2021. Send it to the FBI. Send it to anybody you think. Email it. It's on YouTube, by the way. All my shows are uploaded onto my YouTube channel. Psychic Franks, F-R-A-K apostrophe S. You got to put that apostrophe S. SF Commons, or SF Commons, but Psychic Frank's Mystery School. Okay, and let me see what else I got going here. Okay, so not only is the sun in Aquarius, but we also have, like 6 planets in Aquarius are coming up. Let me show you what's going on here. So anyway, I don't have to talk about that anymore. So, and Phil, please don't think I got, this is, I'm after you, it was, don't take it personally. You were young then, you did something stupid, and hopefully you're wiser now. But as where you're going now, I'll end it with this, you, Mindy, Jennifer for sure, an out lesbian, if you think you had it bad in this life, and that sort of justifies a lot of, yeah, you'll get another incarnation, but it'll make this life you had now look like a romp through Rebecca of Sunnybrook Farms. You're creating karma, sister girl. You don't even want to, and you sowed it already. You in danger, girl. I hope nothing happens to you on this physical plane. But I hope, if it does, it'll be a blessing. At least you'll burn off some of the karma. You girls got some, and I'm not calling Phil Patera a girl, but, I'm sure he didn't work alone. You picture him walking around City Hall getting the low-down, keep your eye out. And then when he spotted me, I mean, anybody who sees me runs like I'm going to kill him. I had that look of, no, not. He's kidding. Strangers come up and talk to me. It's been that way, I'm a psychic healer. So anyway, my Kundalini just started moving 2 years ago. Come this August, a year and a half, whatever. So I'm here. I'm only 72. As far as I'm concerned, I'm still middle. I had just reached middle age, maybe not even. So you're gonna have to deal with me. And whatever, So, and please don't see me as the gifted psychic I am. I know Bill Matar. I know Bayvac people thought I was getting away with some sham, like I was faking I was a psychic. I think most people have an idea of a psychic as, telling these wonderful, like these TV regurgitated pablum, No, I don't know how these people even look at themselves in the mirror. We're hanging on the precipice of annihilation. Shirley MacLaine said something about, as I said, all to prove our manhood. Okay, so let me get my mountain astrologer out here because we do have another 15 minutes. Right. Gabby, yes, right. Say thank you, Gabby. Where is she? There she is. Oh, she's my sweetheart. If you notice, I took Andy Warhol's picture here and put it over the heart, just because it was a rare picture from the 60s of him. A real nice picture. I used to see Andy at Max's Kansas City a lot in the 60s. Anyway, and then I saw Liza Minnelli a long time ago, a few years ago, talking about her relationship with Andy. And she said a lot of times she'd be with him and he'd be on the phone. And every time he got off the phone with somebody, he'd say, "You're the boss, applesauce." So I wrote it down on some handmade paper from Tibet and I glued it right under him to encourage me. So when I'm feeling like, do I want to go there? I look at that now. Andy's telling me, "You're the boss, applesauce." Yeah, go for it. You're the boss, applesauce. Who's this pretty bird? Can I have a kiss? Can I have a kiss? Oh, you're a pretty girl. Okay, that's enough now. She likes being in the sun. Isn't she gorgeous? She's around 28 years old. She was 2 years old when I rescued her. Okay, what it says here about the Aquarius new moon. Oh yeah, 11:08 a.m. Wednesday the 1st. Saturn squared Uranus. Woo, woo, woo. Okay, Aquarius new moon, February 11th. Here on the west coast, that's 11:05 a.m. The new moon forms part of this is the Mountain Astrologer, February March. Diana McCannon, Collis, Collis, something like a flower, Collis. Okay, it's a pretty name. It's a pretty name. The new moon forms. I just want Bill Matar to think, please, I don't hate you, or I would have called whistleblowers protection. As I said, I just do what there was a wrong that you still have the power to do right. Right now, you're showing no lack. See, God's going to look you over for humility. He's not going to look for all these awards you sell out. Let's face it. You got to call him. You got to, in recovery, you got to admit. So say it. Look in the mirror and say to yourself, "Bill, you screwed up, honey." Call yourself honey. I think that your soul loves to hear that word. Okay, I'll let it go. It's hard to me to let things go. Okay, as I said, I untied this knot. That was the last piece of the puzzle. I know the whole scenario now, so every time I run into anybody from Bayvac or if the studio opens again and I get to go in there again and use it, I don't even want to hear the subject anymore. I'll just tell them, watch this show I made today, because I know what's going on. So, Judge Judy, who I'm not a fan of, wrote a book years ago called "Don't Pee on My Leg and Tell Me It's Raining." I saw it on the new releases shelf at the library where I was always there when it was, good old days when it was open. And I remember grabbing it. I read it in a few hours, a really, pablum kind of book. I was mad. It was all about welfare mothers in two different states trying to get extra money for their kids. And nothing about her white collar criminal friends, So every time that really turned me off to Judge Judy. I haven't watched her show since, but I love the title of that book. So Bayvac, probably says, "Well, we did all these parties for SF Commons." Anything Bayvac did was a cover up to get the stench of what they did of the body of the cadaver of SF Commons, because it was just a matter of time before SF Commons finally Bayvac got their way. As I said, they wanted to get rid of us from the gate. They couldn't write out because the voters, that would, what Comcast is saying, I don't give a crap about what you voters voted for. I'm the corporation, man. I'm the bully. That's why I say, if corporations are people, which they're not, get them in rehab. Get their asses in rehab. Woo! Shake it off, Frank. Shake it off, sister, brother. Mother, Father, God, thank you. Thank you. And so, I rebuke you, Comcast. Right, Napster? Oh, I love you. Oh, you're a good-looking chick. Okay, so it says the new moon forms a part. I'm just celebrating because I finally finished the puzzle. It's like I wanted to do this show like a few days ago when I it was like it's total. I mean, I had a really it's nonstop contemporary mystical experience, but some are like when you're like every day this not a day went by the last 10 years I didn't like go over like Columbo. One more thing. Wait a minute. One more thing there. That, and then the other day when I saw Bill Matone, it was like lightning. Phew! Oh, Frank, remember that? So Bill, you remember, you were running for me. And I did start to chase him, and then I started laughing, actually. Because yeah, he thinks it's funny. Well, of course you ran. Look at me. Animals hate me. And no, birds, dogs, animals, people, just attract. Nobody runs from me unless likes attract likes. They repel what's unlike us. Ah, you made a deal with the devil, Bill. Jennifer. Yeah, when all that was going on, one of my Australian friends, may she rest in peace, beautiful young woman in her 40s, cancer took her out in like a few months. But when I met her, she was living here and with her shipping magnate family of Sydney, Australia. And we became very close for a few years, and I miss her to this day. And then I told her, I don't have many friends. I have a lot of people, but and I confided in her because we spent a lot of time together. We went all over together, and I explained to her what was going on with Jennifer. And then one day she called me, and I said, "Oh, hi." She goes, "I'm in New Mexico at this big convention for corporations. There's all these tents, and everybody's booking all these events, to sell their corporation. It was it was advertised. It was one of the biggest. I forget what it's called. This was like 10 years, 9 years ago." And she goes, "And guess who has a big tent? Hundreds of people." I said, "Who?" She goes, "Your friend Jennifer." I said, "What?" She goes, "Yeah, Bayvac. They got." So while Bayvac is crying poverty, they don't have the money to tag our shows. Uh, they got Jennifer. you know, uh, San Francisco is the home of Dykes on Bikes. Okay. Um, San Francisco's the home of Dykes on Bikes. And I remember years ago when I worked at Sardi's, if we needed extra money, all these over the hill chorus girls, we'd be on the top floor of Sardi stuffing envelopes and making posters for some latest show that David Merrick or Arthur Kander were producing or something. And, I needed extra money, so I'd stay after overtime. So it would be like 11 o'clock at night. We're smoking cigarettes, drinking Coca-Colas, doing this work. And these old hoofers from yesteryear would be talking about these living legend movie stars who did Broadway shows. I remember one day, I was like 19 years old, and going to school on 57th Street and for extra money. And this one old chorus girl was mentioning where Lucille Ball was dyking around with Lauren Bacall. I never heard that phrase before, dyking around. Yeah, so while Jennifer was dyking around the country promoting Bayvac, you know, SF commas were getting roughed up by the alcoholic guy. How many shows I did to a dead camera. They wanted to get rid of me. They wanted to get rid of me like everybody's trying to get rid of their COVID-19 virus. Let me pick a couple of cards for you. I'm so glad. I'm just still, kind of in a pink cloud that, so no matter what happens, I know. I figured it out. Okay, so now I can get back to the real mystery. How can we denuclearize the world? How can we get rid of corporations? Are not people. They are not people. say that 3 times, everybody. Corporations are not people, and if they are, let's lock them up. Let's execute one. That, the only separation we need is church from state. Let's get rid of the private prison industry. Let's get Ross McGowan, not Ross McGowan, Ross McElreamy. I mean, they did him wrong. I mean, how many couples, even Gabby and I, of course I wouldn't touch her. I remember years ago, when we were first starting out, we've been together 25 years. I threw a pillow at her. I know it was a towel. I just got out of the shower and I was, full, and she fell over. I picked her up, and thank God she didn't get hurt. She was just kind of stunned. But I realized, oh, Frank, she's a bird, man. She's a delicate flower. She's a beautiful jewel. So, but as I said, you only hurt the ones you love. I mean, but she confided in a neighbor who happened to be an part of the corporate, get rid of the home, anti-people, and they totally crucified him. They totally got, there went prison reform, there went Black Lives Matter. So remember, from now on, when you're watching Comcast, you are supporting a corporation that blatantly says Black lives don't matter. If they did, and you'll know when because this is now it's going to get more intense from 2022 to 20 for a good 20 years there. We're going to have the Pluto in Aquarius. So right now we finished purging. We flushed the last toilet. The last little flushing was done now. We've been dewormed. The portly parasite is gone. What we're seeing now is the smoke, the smoke. So now we're going to start getting the mind and the mind, body, spirit healing connection. We're going to start standing. Baby food has arsenic in it. All the major baby. How did that happen? How are they putting toxic metals in baby? Corporations we've been brainwashed. You got to hand it to them. Madison Avenue, I don't think it's Madison Avenue anymore, but the advertising industry has the go-ahead now, direct to consumer. I mean, they get into the nooks and crannies of your subconscious with these lies, these total lies, right, Gabby? Well, anyway, I'm going to sleep better tonight. For the last couple of days, I wanted to do this show. Courage is fire and bullying is smoke. The supreme quality for leadership is unquestionably integrity. Unquestionable integrity. Without it, no real success is possible, whether it is in architecture, team of architects, building something, a football field, or in an army, or in an Oval Office. Ike said that. General Ike. I remember I was like 4 years old. I'd be sitting in the back of the house in Oyster Bay with my grandfather, where I practically lived. I did live there until I was around 7, because Maggie and Charlie had business in another state. And we were sitting, it was a summer day, under the grapevine. He had a little glass of red wine and his stinky cigar, and he was making spoons. He was always be carving spoons for his wife, my grandmother, and telling me he liked Eisenhower. I had a button, I like Ike. He loved Eisenhower, So, yeah, Eisenhower, a general said, keep your eye on the... that's one of my happy places, when life gets me down. I go back. Anything good in me, that man was a living saint in my life. Okay, let me see what my friends in TV land need to know. So I guess the next show I do, we really don't have to dwell on it, because I don't want to go over this over and over again. It's done. Once you did a jigsaw puzzle and it's all done, what's the use of doing it? It's done, But do please, please, please. I never asked anybody for anything. I never tell people press like, subscribe. Well, every now and then maybe it slips out. But I strive. striving for humility. You know, I was telling an old friend of mine in Stockbridge, Massachusetts, the other day, who's known me all my life practically, and I said to him, you know, for years when my hormones were raging before, every start my Kundalini started working on me, and I achieved this state of spirit, where many souls don't. I must give myself a little pat on the back. Nobody else is gonna. Um, uh, okay. Yes, Gabby. Yes, yes. Um, yes, thank you. Thank you. I was looking, okay, 45. Okay, so we have 7 minutes now. Uh, I just thought this one. I'm sorry. Yeah, so anything good in me, my grandfather instilled in me. Yeah, the shadow represents a false vision of the truth, an illusion about reality. So you want to really access your subconscious at night, because access the deep seated wisdom that lies in the subconscious. And then once again, it's worth repeating. Martin Luther King Jr. said, "Nothing in the world is more dangerous than sincere ignorance and conscientious stupidity." Oh, there's a wonderful book by was written in 2013. It was the last book Stephen Arroyo is out there, and it's really, really a really good book, because every time I say stuff about Stephen, what's his name? Carl Sagan, and how he's back in the form of Neil deGrasse Tyson. That's true. That's as true as that's a bird, and if you notice, there's the similarity there, and here he's too. Stephen Arroyo was very aware of how uh, Carl Sagan, in his world, the only solution, the only hope for mankind is science. These assumptions. He says, science. You see the so-called scientific approach, which is really simply materialistic approach to life, ultimately reduces everything to a bunch of dirt and gas. A chemistry professor who also studies astrology once told me that chemistry's reality, quote unquote, is to reduce everything in the universe to balls and springs. I got a lot of balls for doing that. The ancient Indian word for avocados was testicle. It's true. Because they really do help you with prostate problems, and they do grow. One is always lower than the other. And any man could tell you that's how it is. One is always a little lower. When I was in high school, I remember walking down the hall, and my buddies would say, "How's it hanging?" In the 60s, that was what we said to each other. We were 12, 13 years old. Kids, I love them. The chemistry professor who also studies astrology once told me, "Yeah, this is an approach that ultimately is destructive." As Dane Rudger began pointing out in the 30s, if astrology goes in that direction as it develops over the next few years, its capacity to infuse life with meaning will be dissipated as it becomes more and more part of the established materialistic lifestyle of modern society. Astrology, among other uses, constitutes an alternative language through which to understand life. See, this book here by the Kundalini now, I was enlightened about Carl Jung. Who's been my, mentor. I've read everything he ever wrote, talked about, or thought, and put down on paper or told someone I read. But he was wrong. I didn't notice it, but he acknowledged the chakras, but he said they were metaphors of things. Like the first chakra is a metaphor of this. No, I know they're real. They're as real could be. So, so this is why this book, Kundalini in the Physical World. when I get my mystery school off and running, I definitely want to, because I believe, it was actually 2 years ago when the planet Uranus entered Taurus. It was Pam Gregory, a British astrologer, who has a YouTube video, mentioned, those of you who are psychics, or dealing with kundalinis are known to move during this. That's when it started. It was 3 times it happened a few months apart. The third time it happened, I was in the kitchen and this heat started coming over me, and I was baffled. Again, another mystery that was solvable, and it was like 4 in the morning. Gabby was sound asleep, and I went into my bed and I shut off the water. I was waiting for my kettle to boil, had my morning cup of hot water, and I got into a fetal position. And all of a sudden, Norma Tringali put an ice pack behind my head, and then I fell asleep. And when I woke up, I was like, "Wow, what was that?" And I was talking to a friend of mine up in Oregon who was in the mystery school with me 40 years ago, and I told her, "Aaron, it happened again." And then I told her about the ice pack, and in a second she says, "Oh, of course, that was Norma, Frank." Yeah. Another time, she got me straight. Or this guy I was working with around 30 years ago, uh, I ended up dying in an apartment in the Tenderloin. He went from being homeless, but he was so sick with AIDS that he finally died. And I got a call from his roommates. He was living in a group place with several other young men in their 20s. And they said, Barry's going to be gone soon, Frank. We just want to tell Gabby, stop that. Come on, we're busy here. And there she is. and I said, "Oh, thanks for telling me. I'll send extra light his way." And then I hung up the phone, and the phone rang. I picked it up, and it was Barry. And I said, "Barry, is that you guys playing tricks on me?" He said, "What do you mean?" I said, "Your roommates just called me. One of them told me that your caregiver just left. That you were you were on your way out. You were ready to pass on." And he laughed, and he just wanted to talk about my dog Chelsea, because he loved my dog so much. And I think those two are still together. And then I told him I loved him, and I said, "Well, I don't know what this was all about, but I'm glad to hear from you, my friend." And I told him I loved him as a father would tell his son. And then, the next day they called me and told me he had passed on. And I said, "Was there a phone in his bed? Did he have a phone near his bed?" And they said, "No." So I was telling Aaron, about, this phone call I got from Barry. And she goes, "Frank, dead people don't need phones." It would only take someone to use bits of the mystery to know that. So the message I have for you now is, yes, everything we thought. In a way, you wonder, maybe this. Oh, we got to go. Oh, yeah, it's time to go. Sorry it took so long. Sorry for the abrupt ending. Be back in 2 weeks. I love you. Let it shine. Thank you, Gabby. Say goodbye. There she is. I love you guys. Thank you. Pass this video on, please. I don't ask so much. Help me help you.